this is my tangent section. I have a dead leg, so if you hear me patting, it's just my leg. I have noticed recently that a lot of people, and I'm going to talk to black people in particular right now, I very much dislike the way that we are unable to identify harm that other black people cause. And it's not to say, oh, just because they're black, but because we want everyone to win, so to speak. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes you lot are fascists and suck. And it's something that really frustrates me because, I mean, okay, I'm going to reference something. I said in the last video I wasn't going to go into drama, but I'm going to go into drama just a little bit. There was someone online who has been unmasking, really harmful. We've called it out because they have been adjacent to disability. If you know, you know. And I think what really frustrates me is the fact that just because she's a black woman, it's like we must protect her. The way you talk to black women is horrible. I mean, I'm like, yeah, people are racist, and sure that like two things can be true. Yes, people are racist, that's bad. You know, please don't be misogynistic and use misogynoir. Also, this black person's really harmful, like, and it should be called out. That is something that I think people are afraid to do, and ultimately there's a lot to it, and I think there's a lot of moving parts. People ever so slightly love to see black people represented. I keep getting that word wrong. I think they love to see black people represented in certain spaces, even though they're harmful, because it makes that space easier to digest. And even when I say certain spaces, I'm even talking about like to see someone who is happily married, or to see a black person who is middle class or whatever. I think some people like to see that because it's like aspirational goals, blah, blah, blah. Close, if I support this person, I can be close to social capital and I can keep my spot in society. I think a little bit of that's going on. I know that was a lot of words, but trust me, I've done the research and I've done the permutations and I've come up with the results. And I'm being deadly serious when I say it, that I think representation might be the death of some of us. Because if you are unable to call out harm, even if they're your faves, quote, so to speak, then what are you gonna do when the shit hits the fan? One, please don't attach yourself to people like that because it will always end shittily. But more often than not, and I think again it's something that is really frustrating me, it's not even just the people running to defend, it's the fact of it tends to be the marginalized people who are calling out the harm that get the worst attacks. In that situation that happened on the weekend, what really angered me, a white person started a conversation and that black woman entered it with her own volition, like just started being like, well, actually, in the comments, right? What then happened for some reason was, well, these marginalized people should be better at public health and their comms are awful and they're just bitter and they're jaded and they've got a lot of anger to work through. I'm like, how do niggas get involved? I wasn't like, why fuck me? What did I do? I just said, oh, that's a wrong opinion. Okay, moving on. Oh yeah, you've got some anger to work through. And it's really obvious that they have a disdain for marginalized people who are trying to fight eugenics, because what always happens in these situations is that they revert back to ableism. And they revert back to some tactics that are really disgusting. And I don't know if you've been at the other end of this, but have you noticed that every time that you critique someone that has a lot of social capital and everyone likes, it never tends to be like, say, white people getting the brink or whatever. It always ends up being, well, these blackety blacks, they need to go to anger management, and I think they're ableist language here. I think they're insane. I think they're crazy. That they're really harmful to community. And it's like, mind you, the same people that say this are not the ones that are masking. They're not the ones that are actually doing the work to help people. They're just want to feel better about themselves for doing eugenics. That's all it is. And it's just so, the thing is with me, I'm going to change the camera. The thing is, it's so obvious. It is so obvious. Like, I know what you're doing. You cannot fool me. You cannot trick me. I cannot be tricked. You just want to feel better about yourselves because you also are the harm doer. So when you attach your like personality or your whatever, aspirational goals, morality, whatever, to a certain person, and then people call out that certain person for being harmful, then it's like, oh wait, and then you feel that same harm. And to be quite honest, I'm going to end this tangent here. You should. Go back to my video where I said that shame is a good thing. Shame is a beautiful thing, and I will not hear any arguments against it. Shame can make you change behavior. It has been used tactically by activists to, fuck up politicians, to change legislation, to change public opinion. I will give the same example I gave in that video. Disabled activists, they were advocating for accessible travel and things like that. Do you think their protest would have worked if the bus drivers didn't get involved? Yes, they might have been pissed or whatever, but if the bus drivers, who might have been disabled, might not, but they're marginalised people who are most likely, who are not middle class, let's put it that way, they stood in solidarity with disabled people, and that's how they got accessible travel via bus route or whatever. I think we should disable trains, because the train situation is fucked in England. And I think that's it. It's like that in that situation, in that scenario, those bus drivers were probably going through a lot of emotions because they're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? Blah, blah, blah. And then they find out what the reason is. And you're like, oh, I'm part of a system that is stopping people from traveling. Wow, I feel ashamed. I'm going to do something about it. Now we have travel. Not great travel, because again, we need to sort out the trains. That's my point, is that I think that a lot of people aren't just working, you lot aren't working through emotions. We're fine. The disabled anti-eugenics motherfuckers are okay. It's you lot that need to work through emotions. Honestly, the amount of times in the past 7 to 14 business days, there's been a tweet that has gotten people in a tizzy, and it is just for the advocating for better infection protections. My God. Why are you upset? Do you feel ashamed?